Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meeting on July 16th at 12 noon. Welcome you to our public meeting. We do have the hybrid technology model today with individuals here present as well as coming in on the video feed. We have Commissioner Tick Segerblum with us virtually, so thank you for joining us, Commissioner. We'll go ahead and begin our meeting today with roll call. Dominique, if you can help us with that.
Chairperson Scott Black.
I'm present.
Vice Chairperson Olivia Diaz.
Present.
Commissioner Cheryl Davis. Commissioner Sharon Davis. Commissioner Misha Hooks. Commissioner Tick Segerblum.
Here.
Commissioner Dan Shaw.
Here.
Commissioner Lawrence Weekly. A quorum is present. We are in compliance with the Nevada Open Meeting Law.
Thank you so much, Dominique. If you will all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you for that. We'll go to the first public comment. Item number 2 on our agenda. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters that are posted on the agenda for discussion and possible action today. If you wish to be heard, come to the speaker's podium, clearly state your name and address, and please spell your last name for the record. The amount of time any single speaker will be allowed will be limited to 3 minutes. If any member of the board wishes to extend the length of a presentation, this will be done by the chair or by the board majority vote. Are there any that would like to speak to us today on posted agenda items during this first public comment? Hello, Ms. Turner.
Those 2 closed sessions y'all going into, that, y'all need to table that. Y'all really do. Because now if you don't remember, now, some of y'all wasn't here. Ms. Diaz wasn't here. When your lawyer got up here and gave you the big old spiel about everything that was going on. So now, here we come back with $17,000, and how both of them, her and Pam, got the same lawyer, and Pam would have still been here, because Pam was a damn good legal secretary, she was. But she was taking her orders from Dora, and that's what got her up out of here, taking her orders from Dora. And that ain't the first time she done got up out of here, because when Parvis Kadiri was the executive director, he skated her away from here. So she should have been minding her business, doing her job, and she'd have probably still been here, but she couldn't do that because she had to answer to Dora LeGrand. And that other one, how y'all gonna take taxpayers' money and pay her? So what, she can pay the boyfriend's cell phone bill? You know what I wanna say, Mr. Black, but you know I ain't gonna say it. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice what I wanna say.
All right, thank you, Ms. Turner. Anyone else like to come and speak during this first public comment on posted agenda items? Hi, Ms. Carpenter.
Hi, Phyllis Carpenter, 5200 Alpine number 5, Las Vegas 89107, and my last name is spelled Carpenter. I'd like to say about how after the in August or whatever, when the lawyers came in, November, he lied about that damn resident council, that whole resident council agenda that he read to you guys. It was nothing but a lie. Out of the 11.
Ms. Carpenter, is this one of the posted agenda? Which agenda item are you speaking to?
I'm just saying because something should be done.
No, hold on 1 second. We definitely want to hear you, but this first public comment is relative to posted agenda items, and the 2 agenda items that we have on the calendar today, or on the agenda today for action, are
It's for paying out the money, right?
It's for review of 2 proposed settlements. Yes. So is that what you're speaking about?
Well, I'm speaking about him being put on probation and then coming right in and lying to everybody. Yeah, well, you know that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Carpenter. Anyone else like to speak on the posted agenda items that are on our agenda for discussion and action today?
Good afternoon. My name is Annette Walker, Sartini, and I would like to speak about if they had a settlement. I lived at Sartini, and I showed them where I had black mold, and I paid out of pocket. I paid my money into the court, 5 different months that has been returned to me, but they have not settled my lawsuit.
Ms.
And
Walker?
each and every day, I'm breathing black mold. But what I'm saying is, this is an executive,
Ms. Walker?
yes?
I apologize for interrupting you, but if you would keep your comments relative to the 2 agenda items that we have here for action today. We have a
Yes.
second public comment where you can speak to other matters or items that you would like to discuss that are not relevant to this particular.
It's very relevant, because I feel as though if they're going to make a settlement, because you have a employee who has been, again, this has been unacceptable, where we have to pay out money, and it's maybe taxpayers' money. I'm not sure exactly how that actually ended up being resolved. But the point I am saying is, we have a resident who is in a condemned building that is breathing black mold. And they did not come to court. They did not show up. And this has been 6 months, but this building was condemned 5 years ago. So now why should I have to continue to breathe black mold, and they are settling a case with someone who has sexual improprieties, and at the same time, we are residents who are paying rent, and we are in a condemned building, and these people had COVID-19, and with the way that they have mistreated the elderly people and the poor people and the people of color and the people who cannot even speak English, it has been criminal. So I think if they're going to settle with that lawsuit, then they need to settle with my lawsuit.
Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Thank you.
Any other individuals that would like to speak during this first public comment on posted agenda items?
Hey, hi, I'm John Johnson for the record, 34, anyway. I'm a resident here at, I'm a Section 8 voucher recipient, and I want to talk about the payments. So I know with any payment, they have insurance. So my questions that I want to ask and I want to address is, once this settlement is entered into, how much is the actual payment that is coming out of Housing Authority's budget? Because even though it's $250,000, if you wreck a car and it's $60,000, $50,000 in damages, your insurance is going to cover so much, and you have a $500 deductible or whatever. So I'm assuming this is the same case where you guys have insurance and it's going to cover it. So I would like to know how much that premium is. Secondly, I would like to know, when this whole thing came about, he was disciplined. From what I heard in the newspaper, he was docked 30 days in pay and he was put on probation. So I want to know, was that dock and pay was sufficient enough to cover the cost of those premiums that you guys are going to have to pay out? Because once again, the biggest concern that most people have here is the fact that we're paying taxpayers' money on an incident for someone, an employee, that caused this on himself. But, we've already rehashed this about the incident, and, it was a decision made that we kept him and we moved forward. But now it's kind of a shock that people are looking at the agenda and they're saying, now we're going to have to pay an additional $250,000. And they're like, hey, why do we have to pay this money for an employee's actions that he brought on himself? So I think, and I'm hoping to, hear from the presentations and the attorneys on a full, understanding of that process and what it actually looks like, so we can be better educated on what the process is and the actual dollar amount that is being incurred to the Southern Nevada Housing Authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I believe your questions will be answered, like you said, during the agenda items as they're presented. Any other individuals like to speak regarding posted agenda items for action and discussion today?
Good evening. My name is Dr. Dillard Scott. I have a prepared statement. I do have a preface to my statement, and it is in regards to the payments. Good afternoon, board and residents. I have been attending the board meeting since September of 2019, and I have watched residents and the public stand before you all on many issues that pertain to both public housing and the Section 8 program. Residents at times have pled with you to update appliances and make repairs to public housing units, and have passionately spoke about the deficiencies and deplorable conditions at properties. And I have watched the board refuse to admonish the current executive director or encourage him to come up with solutions to remedy many of the issues. In October's board meeting, it was indicated that a 6-month review of the performance of the executive director, Chad Williams, would be reviewed. It never happened. Prior to this, as the matter as it relates to inappropriate interaction with the subordinate had been discussed, and at that point, instead of following the advice of legal counsel Theodore Parker and terminating him, the board chose to keep him in place. And now today we have 2 agenda items to have a closed-door meeting regarding the settlement of a former employee, Pamela Durr, executive secretary, who was fired, and an unqualified Elizabeth Garcia, who had inappropriate relationships with Chad Williams, in excess of $130,000. This is a slap in the face of taxpayers and the residents of public housing. The executive director is a liability due to his indiscretions and infantile judgment used in problem solving with his lower nature. He has betrayed the trust of public housing residents and failed as a leader to structurally organize of this public agency. Therefore, I advise you not to vote on this measure as a board, and to ultimately disciplinary action is taken to eliminate further liabilities as this. As elected officials and appointed residents of the board, you have taken an oath to operate with integrity and make competent decisions as it relates to Southern Nevada's most vulnerable residents. I strongly recommend that you terminate the executive director's contract for his deplorable behavior and failure to provide reasonable solutions to residents, foster a stress-free working environment to those who serve residents, and adequately justify expenditures of monies as a result to the CARES Act as a result of COVID-19. Furthermore, I admonish Chairman Black and Chairwoman Diaz, along with other tenured members of the board, for not taking action on this prior to today. This corruption is at its finest, encourages you to vote on the affirmation as anyone who does and will listen to the OIG report that I will be submitting in regards to this matter. A vote in support of the payout is a vote in favor of protecting, ignoring the failures of Mr. Williams, and paying off his concubine.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Any other individuals like to speak regarding posted agenda items? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment and move on to item number 3, which is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the June 18th, 2020. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mr. Chair.
And do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes. If you, Mr. Segerbloom, if you would just, when you say aye, if you'll just state your name along with it, that would be great. Item number 4. Thank you. Approval of agenda with inclusion of any emergency items and deletion of any items. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Commissioner. We do not have a consent agenda today, so we'll go to section 3, Commissioners, Executive Director recognitions. Do you have anyone from the Board of Commissioners that would like to recognize anyone this afternoon here in this public setting? Seeing none, Mr. Williams? Okay, thank you. We'll go to section 3, item number 5, acknowledgement of our departed.
Actually, it's a blessed thing that we actually haven't had any departed in the past month, Mr. Chair.
Wow, that is not true.
That's the report I received.
Okay. Well, we certainly, thank you, Mr. Williams, we certainly would never deliberately omit someone that has passed within our programs and our residents. And so anyone that you're aware of in the audience that we are not aware of, we'll definitely make note of that, and absolutely, we will absolutely recognize them in a future meeting, but we certainly would not do that on purpose. I'm sorry, this is not public comment.
Yes, sir.
No, ma'am.
We have a neighbor who turned 100 years old. She's from Korea. On last Thursday, she transitioned.
Okay.
So
Do you know her name?
I can't pronounce it.
Okay, we're so sorry. I mean, 100 is a beautiful, beautiful milestone
Yes.
that we all hopefully aspire to.
So we will
Thank you for sharing that with us.
recognize her
Certainly.
in this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll get her name and make sure that we acknowledge her as well when we do so for those other individuals. Thank you for that. Section number 4, we're going to go to discussion and possible action. Item number 6 and number 7 will be done together. Item number 6, I'll read it for the record. Recess to close session pursuant to 2.41.015 2B2 to receive status of settlement negotiations related to Pamela Reed McDougal claim to discuss resolution. And item number 7, recess to close session pursuant to 2.41.015 2B2 to receive status of settlement negotiations related to Elizabeth Garcia claim and to discuss resolution. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, the board members will be recessing with our legal representation, Parker Nelson and Associates. We ask that you please stay if you'd like. Please bear with us as we have this discussion as a board, and or rather receive the report as a board, and we will be back as soon as we can. So thank you all so much for being here today, and we'll be back shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll resume the Board of Commissioners meeting at this time. Again, I thank you for your patience. In our absence, we will move to agenda item number 8, approval to settle Pamela Reed claim for $110,000 conditioned on execution of settlement and release agreement. At this time, I'll open public comment relative to this agenda item. Many folks previously during the first public comment on posted agenda items spoke relative to this. So in the interest of time, of course, please bear in mind not to repeat yourself if you can avoid it. If you'd like to step forward, we'll go ahead and open the public comment relative to item 8, approval to settle Pamela Reed claim.
Oh, can I get the mic, please?
Do we have a microphone that we can mobilize out there, Tommy? Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Beatrice Turner, I'd like to know, where is this money gonna come from to pay her?
I have a question for our legal counsel. Even though I opened up the public hearing aspect of this, would it be more appropriate to hear from the board? Is there any, or should we just listen to all the comments and then address those when we have the board portion or board comments? What would be the best protocol?
To listen to all the comments first.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, sorry, Ms. Turner.
I wanna know where the money gonna come from. How is it gonna be paid out of? What funds is gonna be paid out of? I wants to know that. What funds is gonna be paid of? I wanna know how it's gonna be paid.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Anyone else like to speak on item number 8? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment on item number 8, and I'll turn it over to the board for discussion. Any comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move for approval of item number 8.
What? No comment? Oh, no, I just showed that.
I can comment really briefly.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and speak to this agenda item. Based on the briefing we received from our legal counsel, and also being a representative on my own Las Vegas City Council, we have had many legal situations sitting on that body where we have had to expend a lot of money defending a decision made one way or the other. And based on what we just received in that private briefing, it is clear to me that in the best interest of the agency, of the people we serve, it is better to sometimes settle when, especially when the insurance company is agreeing to settle. That way the monies that we then have to make up, we're not completely responsible for, and the amount of monies that we have to continue to expend during the discovery process, because this, if we don't settle this today, it's going to be stretched out over the course of how many months or potentially years. And for that, we have to subsidize the legal team, and we have to continue to pay for every motion, for every discovery, for every representation, for every single part of that litigation down the road. So while it is not very easy to say, let's settle, I am looking out for the best interest of the agency and making sure that we're stretching the dollars for other projects that are focused on housing, that are focused on our people. And I feel like right now, this is the best solution to remedy this settlement before us.
Thank you, Vice Chair Diaz. I will note that the dollar amount that's presented in the agenda says $110,000. Of that, $85,000 is the coverage that is being covered by the insurance policy, who is supporting the proposal here today to settle this item. So that's the ratio, is $85,000 out of $110,000. Any other comments from the board? We did have thank you for that, Vice Chair Diaz. We did have a motion by Councilman Shaw.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Shaw and a second by Vice Chair Diaz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And is there any in opposition? Please say nay. That motion passes. Thank you. Go to item number 9, approval to settle Elizabeth Garcia claim for $17,500 conditioned on execution of settlement and release agreement. Are there any individuals in the audience today that would like to speak specific to item number 9 on the agenda? Can we help Ms. Turner with the microphone again, Tommy? Thank you, sir.
I would like to know, so how much of the insurance company gonna pay her? Because she don't need to get paid a dime. So how much is the insurance company gonna pay her? And you know, it's awfully funny that both of them had the same attorney representing them. Something ain't right with that. And you know what? Just like the man stood and said, Dr. Scott say this need to be turned over to the Attorney General. The OIG, yes, it do. It needs to be turned over.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Come on forward, Mr. Johnson. And I'll share the breakdown on that one as well, of insurance coverage.
John Johnson for the record. So I'm very disappointed in that last motion, but I'm going to ask a question again, and hopefully we can get an answer to this one. So you did answer the question of how much the premium is going to cost, but nobody answered the question of where the money is coming from and out of which account is going to be paid out of. And, you know, by you guys not answering these questions, once again, we as a community and as residents feel disrespected that we're asking real legitimate questions and you guys are silent. Like, that's very disrespectful. Councilwoman Diaz, I do appreciate you giving that, you know, very thorough explanation. You know, you were the only one to step up and say, hey, let me give, you know, my constituents an explanation. So I do want to commend you and thank you for that. But, you know, a lot of us really aren't concerned. A lot of us understand the process. But once again, it goes down to the fact that we're spending our money on this. And like some of the residents said, I have a lawsuit. Why don't y'all settle with me? Another resident, we have problems in our housing, and we're told that we don't have money or we got to wait. But you guys are settling this, you know, money, this cost that's coming out of a budget. And people, like he said, I come up here often. You guys know me. And they continue to talk about the same problem. So can we please give these people some decent competency and respect and answer their questions and act like, you know, they didn't ask it? That's very disrespectful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. There's certainly no disrespect intended, and we can answer that question. The breakdown on this particular proposal of the $17,500, $14,000 of it is coming from insurance coverage, and that's tied to line items of lost wages and attorney's fees. So in terms of the differential between the insurance policy and the housing authority, who can speak to the, thank you, if you could speak to the funding on that.
So the fundings are coming from unrestricted non-federal funds. So it's not coming out of a budget for housing authority, or housing.
Unrestricted,
Public housing.
non-federal funds. Thank you so much for that. Are there any other comments relative to agenda number 9? Hearing none, we'll close the public comment, and I'll turn it over to the board for any discussion or a motion. Commissioner Weekly, yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. As far as this item is concerned, I voted on the last one. This item here, I agree that I don't think that there should be any compensation for that, but I will disclose for the record, because it became a personal issue for me. As an abundance of caution, I'm going to abstain from voting on it, although I have a lot of grave concerns about it. We had a lengthy discussion about it, but let me just say, I'm going to leave that on the record that I'll go ahead and abstain on this particular item out of abundance of caution. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Weekly. Any other comments from the remaining board members? Mr. Segerblum, who's on the phone, any comments from you, sir?
Just want to say for both of these, this is what I do for a living. I've evaluated both of them, read a lot about them, and I think both settlements are reasonable, and I support both of them.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments other regarding this? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
And is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Motion was made by Commissioner Tick Segerblum, second by Councilman Dan Shaw. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. We'll go to section 5 of our agenda today. Item number 10, receive report from the Executive Director on administrative and operational activities of the agency. Mr. Williams.
Mr. Chairperson, an attempt to keep my debrief brief. One of the things the board asked that I report out is the use of our COVID funds at a certain amount with the contract authority that you granted me up to $250,000. Some of that hasn't met $250,000, but I want to run through those numbers. One is we have contracted with Konica paperless so that we can continue to maintain, so that we can enter into some paperless virtual transactions. That was a contract I entered into for $125,000. We also are purchasing some Konica virtual receptionist machine platforms. 2 will be in the HCV building. 1 will be here in the Cannon Center building, and 1 will be in our Flamingo building for our admissions and eligibility department. This will also increase social distancing between our clients and staff, and checking in and receiving services. And we've also increased or added onto our Yardi system some rent cafe portals, which will allow our residents and participants to pay and interact with us through a new virtual portal, and that was $130,000. And I increased Crimeless Securities contract, our security company contract. The current contract amount was $658,300. I increased that by $250,000, bringing a total contract value of $908,300. And those contract increases will provide additional hourly security coverage for the following properties: Levy Gardens, Ada Brent, Marble Manor, Hulleman Jones, Jamestown Towers, Sartini Plaza, Bennett Plaza, and Libertha Johnson. Those will go out to the Mr. Chairperson, those will go out to the end of the year.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
The next, I would like to just give a brief update to the board. I believe on Tuesday, June 30th, I forwarded an email that I sent to SEIU Local 1107's Executive Director, Grace, regarding issues in the Housing Choice Voucher Program, dealing with union-eligible employees. We had a meeting with Grace on Tuesday, July 7th at 10 a.m. We agreed that management will be supported in enforcing, although through labor rights and due process actions that deal with discipline that include and may result in discipline other than steps for progressive discipline, particularly in areas dealing with dishonesty, insubordination, theft, misappropriation of agency funds, willful misconduct, walking off the job, which we've experienced, and participating in work stoppages, which we've also experienced. Management and union agreed to create a collaborative development performance improvement plan over 120 days. That starts on Monday, on making sure that performance and the culture of that department is improved. And I will report out in November an assessment of that to make a determination based on conversations that we've had by HUD on whether we need to explore the opportunity of contracting out those services. Obviously, that would be a difficult decision, but we want to go through this evaluation process. But in light of that, also with some of the challenges, as you know, I've been talking about this department since September 2018, of the challenges that we have. I have authorized the HUD OIG to come in and do a forensic audit of our activities and actions and also our employees in that department. So I wanted to make you aware of that. As a result after that meeting, actually Grace herself came and spoke with the employees in that department on July 9th at 3 p.m. She articulated what management rights are and our ability to manage the agency and the department, the differentiation between union labor protection rights, and she also provided the agency and myself a letter where it addressed some of the work stoppage issues and actually broke down which employees were not protected to receive COVID sick pay when they left. And so I think this is a great start. And then I followed up this meeting with the support of the union on Tuesday, July 14th, and met with the department, and we talked about management rights again, the directives, particularly that, you know, we are an essential agency providing health and housing services, and we do expect, just like police officers, firemen and women, and also those who are first responders in our medical facilities to show up, because if we don't show up, then we can cause homelessness, and this is very important. And so as you know, chairperson and vice chairperson, when we opened up, we were operating for several weeks at 35, 25% capacity over there. And that was a great hindrance